Imagine waking up one day, staring at your reflection in the mirror, and being struck by an unsettling thought. What if everything I've been told about how to live my life, how to achieve success, how to be powerful, has been a lie? The very life you've been living, the career you've built, the relationships you've nurtured, the goals you've pursued, what if they've all been part of a script someone else wrote for you? What if the idea of success, happiness, and fulfillment that you've been working so hard for isn't even yours? You've been told that kindness is the highest virtue, that morality should be your guiding star, that to lead a fulfilling life, you must follow the rules society has set out for you. But what if these comforting ideas, these ideals that have shaped your life, are actually a prison? What if buried beneath these layers of societal conditioning lies a darker truth, one that has been hidden from you for as long as you can remember? Now pause for a moment and let that sink in. What if everything you've been taught is wrong? And what if the power you've been searching for, the life you've been yearning for, is buried beneath all the fear, the shame, and the rules that have been imposed upon you? What if the greatest power lies not in how well you follow these rules, but in how well you learn to break them? Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what if the person I am today is just a fraction of who I could truly become? Niccolò Machiavelli, the controversial philosopher who forever altered political thinking, once said, "The ends justify the means." These words, while often seen as ruthless, echo far beyond the realm of politics. What if they're not just about power or strategy, but about life itself? What if the real question we should be asking is not how well we follow the rules, but how well we can break them? When was the last time you let go of control and followed the raw, untamed pull of your instincts? When was the last time you dared to break free from the expectations of the world around you and step into something greater than yourself? This is not about throwing away morality or giving into chaos. This is about embracing the power within you that has been silenced for far too long. You've been taught to be kind, to be docile, to be good, to hold back your true nature, to fit in. But somewhere deep inside, you feel something stirring, don't you? There's a hunger, a raw energy that's been locked away, buried under layers of politeness, conformity, and fear. And no one ever told you that the very thing you've been taught to suppress is the thing that will set you free. I want you to close your eyes for a second and think about that hunger, that desire to break free, to be seen, to be fully alive in a way you've never allowed yourself to be before. Imagine what your life would look like if you gave yourself permission to feel that hunger and let it guide you. Can you see it? But here's the catch. The world has been telling you to suppress that hunger, to ignore the deeper parts of you that don't fit into the neat, acceptable box society created. And for most of us, we've done it. We've listened. We've held back. We've conformed. We've played it safe. We've buried that wild part of us, thinking it was dangerous. But what if the opposite is true? Think about Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychology. Freud's exploration of the unconscious mind revealed something both unsettling and liberating. Beneath the surface of our well-mannered, civilized lives, there is a deep reservoir of untapped power. Freud unearthed the hidden desires and fears that drive much of our behavior, the things we deny, the things we hide from ourselves and others. He revealed that our unconscious mind, often repressed or ignored, controls far more of us than we care to admit. But it wasn't until Carl Jung, Freud's most influential disciple, that we truly began to understand the implications of this hidden power. Jung introduced the concept of the shadow, the darker, unconscious parts of ourselves that society urges us to hide. These are the parts of us that don't fit into the mold of what we've been told is acceptable. And yet, these very parts, these shadows, are often where our truest power lies. Jung believed that until we faced and integrated our shadow, we could never become whole, never fully tap into our potential. But what if the shadow isn't something to fear? What if the wolf inside you, the raw, untamed part of you, isn't a threat, but an ally? What if the very thing you've been taught to reject is the very thing that will give you the power to break free from the chains of societal expectation? Now, Ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped being afraid of your shadow? What if you let go of the fear that holds you back, the conditioning that tells you to suppress your true self, and chose instead to walk the untamed path that your instincts are begging you to follow? What would happen if you trusted that hunger inside of you, that raw energy, to lead the way? Could you be the one to break free from the chains of conformity, to leave behind the life of mediocrity and step into your full potential? Could you, like those who changed the course of history, like Alexander the Great, who defied the odds, or Steve Jobs, who reshaped an entire industry by thinking beyond the status quo, become a force of nature, unapologetically following your deepest truth? Do you feel it? That pull? The excitement and fear tangled together. The sense that something big is about to unfold, but it's going to take courage, it's going to take action, it's going to take the decision to trust yourself. But here's the real question. What if the only thing stopping you from stepping into your full power is the fear of unleashing the wolf within? What if the very thing you've been running from is the key to everything you've been searching for? If this has struck a chord within you, then you're not alone. The truth is, this hunger, this desire to break free, has always been with you, and the time has come to finally confront it. The problem you're about to uncover might be the missing piece that can set you free from everything that's been holding you back. So stay with me, because the journey to unlocking your true potential begins now. Think back to when you were a child. Do you remember the feeling of being untamed, free, unrestrained by the expectations of others? As a child, you lived in a world where everything was new, where possibilities felt endless, where you acted on instinct. You didn't second-guess yourself, you simply were. But somewhere along the way, that sense of freedom was replaced by something else. You were told to follow the rules, to fit in, to behave. Society, family, even your own mind began shaping you into something that felt less real and more like a version of yourself that others could accept. This process of shaping and molding is the hidden problem you've been living with. It's not a physical obstacle in front of you, something you can see and touch. No, this is deeper. It's woven into the very fabric of your existence, the very way you think about yourself, the way you navigate the world. It's the conditioning that has taught you to suppress your natural instincts and desires, to bury the raw, untamed part of you that's been itching to break free. You've been taught that success looks a certain way. Get good grades, get a good job, be polite, work hard, don't cause trouble. You've been given a roadmap to life, but here's the problem. That map wasn't made for you. It was made for the masses. And as much as society might tell you that these rules are the path to fulfillment, the truth is far more unsettling. Carl Jung, the brilliant psychologist who explored the unconscious mind, described something called the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we reject or suppress because they don't fit with the image we've been taught to aspire to. It's the part of you that craves adventure, that wants to be bold and unapologetic, that refuses to follow the pack. Jung believed that in order to live fully, we must confront and integrate this shadow. Yet society tells us that these darker, more primal parts of ourselves are dangerous. We're taught to suppress them, to be good, to conform to the expectations that others have set for us. But what happens when we suppress these parts of ourselves? Over time, we start to lose touch with who we truly are. We live our lives according to the script that society has written for us. And while it may seem like we're achieving what we should, something feels off. A nagging emptiness creeps in, a sense that we've been living someone else's dream, not our own. This feeling of dissatisfaction doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's a direct consequence of living a life disconnected from our true self. Sigmund Freud, who explored the workings of the unconscious mind, uncovered the reality that so much of our behavior is driven by repressed desires and fears. The things we hide from others, and even from ourselves, control us more than we like to admit. Freud's work showed us that we're not always aware of the true forces driving us. But even more importantly, he revealed that much of this suppression is done to fit in, to be accepted, to avoid the discomfort of standing out. We're taught that to be part of society, we must conform, we must be good, And most of all, we must follow the rules. But in doing so, we're denying the very essence of who we are. This idea that we must fit in, that we must suppress parts of ourselves to be accepted, isn't just an individual issue. It's a societal one. When we suppress our natural instincts, we are also suppressing our creativity, our power, and our ability to create change. The very system that encourages us to conform relies on the suppression of individuality. It thrives on predictability and conformity. The more people fit into the mold, the easier they are to control. It's no wonder that the system encourages us to stay small, to not rock the boat, to keep our wildness buried. But here's the truth. The more we suppress our primal instincts, the more disconnected we become from who we truly are. It's like trying to drive a car with the brakes on. You can go through the motions, you can follow the directions, but you'll never reach your destination at full speed. There's always something holding you back, and it's not just the world around you, it's the belief that you must hold back too. But why do we do this? Why do we continue to follow a path that feels so unnatural, so stifling? The answer lies in the way our brains are wired. As human beings, we are social creatures. For much of our history, survival depended on being accepted by the group. To be ostracized, rejected, or cast out from the community meant a greater risk of survival. So, over time, our brains learned to prioritize acceptance and approval over self-expression. The fear of rejection became more powerful than the desire for freedom. And in modern society, the stakes aren't about life or death. They're about how we perceive our place in the world. We are taught that we must conform to avoid judgment, to fit in, to be accepted. This is survival in the psychological sense. And yet, despite this deep wiring, there's a part of us that resists. That's the hunger I mentioned earlier, the one that won't stop stirring, the one that doesn't want to play it safe, the one that dreams of breaking free. But we've been conditioned so deeply that many of us don't even know it's there. We suppress it so well that we forget it exists. Here's where things get tricky. The more we suppress, the more we begin to lose touch with who we truly are. This loss of connection doesn't just affect our sense of self, it affects the way we see the world, the way we make decisions, the way we interact with others, the way we view our careers, our relationships. We begin to see the world through a distorted lens, one that tells us what's acceptable and what's not, what's safe and what's not. We stop making decisions based on our authentic desires, and instead, we make them based on what will keep us in line, what will keep us accepted, what will keep us safe. And that, my friend, is where the disconnection begins. The more we conform to these expectations, the further we drift from our true selves. We become a version of ourselves that others want us to be, not who we truly are inside. This isn't just frustrating, it's soul-crushing. It creates a deep sense of dissatisfaction, an emptiness that we can't quite fill. We try to fit into a mold that isn't made for us, and as a result, we start to lose the ability to truly live. But here's the turning point. This doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to keep suppressing your true self, and you don't have to keep following the path laid out for you. The first step to breaking free is realizing that this conditioning, this suppressed version of yourself, doesn't have to be your reality. The next step? To confront it. To face the parts of yourself that you've hidden away. The parts that don't fit with society's ideal image of who you should be. These are the parts of you that hold the key to your power, your creativity, your true potential. The shadow that Jung spoke of, the wild, untamed part of you, is not your enemy. It is the part of you that holds the strength you've been searching for. And until you face it, you will always be living a life that isn't truly yours. Secondly, the next part, we're going to explore the consequences of this hidden problem, the way it shapes not only your life, but the world around you. And when you see how deeply this conditioning runs, you'll understand why breaking free is the only way to step into your true power. Stay with me, because the real journey begins now. You've felt it, haven't you? The quiet pressure of society's expectations, the constant hum of rules that guide your every move. From the moment you wake up, there's a checklist of things you're supposed to do. Be productive. Be polite. Fit in. Don't cause waves. Maybe you've followed these rules because they seemed like the right thing to do, or perhaps because you were afraid of the alternative. But deep down, something doesn't feel quite right. You've achieved what you were told would bring happiness, a career, a house, a relationship. But despite all that, there's still an unsettling emptiness, a gnawing feeling that something is missing. It's like walking through life with a veil over your eyes, seeing the world not as it truly is, but through a lens of acceptable behaviors and expectations. You've been conditioned to believe that this lens is all you need. After all, it's what society tells you. This is the way life works. Follow the rules and you'll be fine. But what if the truth is far more complex? What if that veil, the one that makes everything seem safe and familiar, is actually preventing you from seeing the fullness of who you are and what you're capable of? The unseen consequences of living in this suppressed, conditioned state are far-reaching. They shape not only how you view yourself, but how you experience the world and your place in it. And they aren't always obvious. These consequences don't knock on your door and announce themselves. No, they creep in slowly, like a shadow you don't notice until it becomes so large that it's impossible to ignore. It starts in small ways, decisions that you don't make for yourself, but because you feel you have to. It's the job you stay in because it's safe, the relationship you stay in because you're afraid of being alone, the dreams you put on hold because they don't fit into the path society has laid out for you. And in these small moments where you suppress your true desires, you begin to lose yourself. Think about how many times you've had to silence that inner voice, the one that whispers, "There's more to life than this." That voice, the one that tells you there's something greater waiting for you, is your true self speaking, urging you to break free. But instead, you ignore it. You put it down. You turn away because you've been conditioned to believe that the right way to live is the one that everyone else has been living. And over time, that voice starts to fade. It's like the dimmer on a light switch slowly turning down until you barely recognize it anymore. That voice, once so full of energy and excitement, is now nothing more than a faint murmur in the background of your thoughts. You don't even hear it anymore. And that's where the real damage begins, when you start to lose touch with who you really are. When you disconnect from the source of your power, your creativity, your authenticity, life begins to feel hollow. You go through the motions, checking off the boxes of what you're supposed to do, but there's no spark, no passion. You begin to feel like a passenger in your own life, like a spectator watching someone else live. Carl Jung, in his exploration of the human psyche, spoke about the tension between the conscious and unconscious mind. He described how when we suppress parts of ourselves, whether it's our desires, our fears, or our true potential, those parts don't just go away. They fester in the unconscious, quietly driving our actions, shaping our reality in ways we can't fully understand. This is the danger of ignoring the deeper parts of yourself. These unconscious desires, once suppressed, start to manifest in unexpected ways, like anxiety, frustration, or a sense of purposelessness. Think about the last time you felt deeply frustrated, like you were running in circles, achieving things that never seemed to fill the void inside. You got that promotion at work, but it didn't feel as satisfying as you thought it would. You bought the house you always dreamed of, but it didn't make you feel at home. You followed the steps you were told to follow, and yet, something was missing. This is the power of unconscious suppression. When you bury parts of yourself, whether it's the wild, untamed side of you that craves adventure, or the creative energy that wants to break free from the mold, you begin to live in a world that feels disconnected from your true self. You start to play by someone else's rules, and in doing so, you forget what your own rules are. Freud's work on the unconscious mind revealed how much of our behavior is shaped by these hidden forces. He argued that we are often driven by repressed desires that we've been taught to ignore because they're considered inappropriate or undesirable. These repressed desires don't disappear. Instead, they form the core of many of our emotional struggles and frustrations. And as Jung expanded upon Freud's ideas, he made it clear that this disconnection between our true self and the self we present to the world is the root of much of our unhappiness. But it's not just personal frustration that comes from this suppression. There are far-reaching societal consequences as well. The very system that encourages us to conform, to suppress our wildness and creativity, relies on us staying small, staying predictable. In fact, the more people conform, the more easily they are controlled. The system thrives on mediocrity. It needs people who follow the rules, who stay within the lines, who don't ask too many questions or challenge the status quo. Think about how our society rewards those who comply and punishes those who dare to break the mold. It's easy to see this in the workplace, where the most successful individuals are often those who follow the company's rules to the letter, never questioning or deviating from the set path. The same goes for education, where the focus is more on fitting in than on exploring creativity and independent thought. But the more you conform, the more you lose the essence of who you are. And this is where the true cost of self-suppression becomes clear. Not only does it affect your personal sense of fulfillment, but it also traps you in a system that demands conformity. And the system itself thrives on that conformity, keeping you locked in a cycle that you can't escape unless you make a conscious choice to break free. The real consequence of living in this way is that you start to live someone else's life. You follow a path that was written for you long before you had the chance to choose your own direction. You live a life dictated by others' expectations, societies, your families, your peers. And in doing so, you deny your true self, your own potential. You may go through the motions, but at the end of the day, there's a sense of emptiness, a nagging feeling that no matter how much you achieve, it doesn't feel like your life. But this doesn't have to be the end of the story. You don't have to remain trapped in a life that's not your own. The first step is to recognize these unseen consequences and begin to uncover the parts of yourself that you've been hiding. The journey to breaking free begins with awareness. Once you see the chains, you can start to unbind yourself. It won't be easy, and it will require confronting the fears and limitations that have held you back. But once you do, you'll begin to reclaim your true power and step into a life that's fully yours. So stay with me. The path to breaking free starts here. In the next section, we'll explore the rebellion, the radical shift in perspective that will allow you to rise above this conditioning and step into the life you were always meant to live. Trust me, once you take that first step, everything will change. The time has come to make a choice. You've been living within the boundaries set by society, by family, by culture. You followed the rules, played the game, tried to fit into the mold of what you were told was right. But now you're standing at the edge of something new. The comfort zone that once protected you, that once felt safe, is no longer enough. You're realizing that you've been living someone else's dream, and now it's time to wake up and create your own. The rebellion isn't some loud, dramatic protest against the world. It's a quiet, powerful internal revolution. It starts in the mind with the decision to stop accepting the narrative you've been handed. It starts with the realization that you are the author of your own story. The moment you recognize that the rules you've been following were never yours to begin with, everything begins to shift. But how do you begin? How do you break free from years of conditioning, from the expectations that have shaped who you are? The answer lies in one simple but powerful truth. It's time to stop playing it safe. For too long, you've been playing by a set of rules that were never made for you. You've been taught that success is a linear path, a checklist of achievements that will lead you to happiness. Get a good job, buy a house, start a family. These are the markers of success that society has laid out. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with these goals, they are not the only measure of a fulfilling life. The truth is, life isn't a straight line. It's a winding road, full of detours, challenges, and unexpected twists. And the sooner you embrace that, the sooner you can stop playing by someone else's script and start writing your own. The rebellion begins when you realize that the safe path is often the one that leads to a life of mediocrity, of quiet dissatisfaction. It's the path of least resistance, where you do what's expected of you, where you follow the rules, but you never truly step into your power. The safe path is what society wants for you. It's the predictable, manageable path that keeps you in line, keeps you in control, keeps you small. But here's the thing. Your power is not found in safety. It's found in the unknown, in the chaos, in the parts of you that you've been told to suppress. The true power lies in your ability to break free from the chains of conformity and step into your wildness. It's in embracing those parts of you that society has told you are dangerous, unpredictable, or inappropriate. The parts that have been buried, rejected, or ignored. These are the very parts of you that contain your true strength. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, spoke about this in terms of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are by integrating all parts of yourself, including the dark, rejected aspects that society tells you to hide. Jung believed that to truly live fully, we must confront and embrace the parts of ourselves that we fear, the parts that we've been conditioned to push away. And in that confrontation, we discover our power. The rebellion is not about rejecting society. It's about rejecting the version of yourself that society has tried to force upon you. It's about stepping into your truest, most authentic self, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels like stepping into the unknown. This isn't about following someone else's blueprint for success. It's about creating your own blueprint based on your deepest desires, your truest self, and your own sense of purpose. This idea isn't new. Look at the greatest figures in history, people who changed the world because they didn't conform to society's expectations. Alexander the Great didn't conquer much of the known world by playing it safe. He broke free from the conventional paths of his time, embracing the unknown and leading with a vision that was all his own. Steve Jobs, too, reshaped an entire industry by thinking beyond the status quo. He embraced chaos, took risks, and most importantly, he didn't let society's conventional rules dictate what was possible. You may be wondering, but what about the fear? What about the judgment? What about the uncertainty? These fears are natural. They're part of the process. But let me tell you something important. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal. It's a signal that you are on the verge of something big, something transformative. Fear doesn't show up when you're playing it safe. It shows up when you're about to step into your greatness. Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual teacher, beautifully captured this truth when he said, "Fear arises through identification with the mind. It is the mind that judges and fears the unknown." When you stop identifying with your fears, when you stop letting your mind control you, that's when you find your power. The key is to embrace the unknown, not as something to be feared, but as something that holds the opportunity for transformation. It's in the chaos, the mess, the unpredictability of life, where true creativity and power lie. But how do you actually make this shift? It starts with a mindset shift. Instead of seeing life as a series of obstacles to be avoided, start seeing it as a canvas to be painted with your boldest ideas, your biggest dreams. It starts with the decision to stop waiting for permission to live your life the way you want to. The rebellion begins when you stop waiting for the world to give you a seat at the table, and instead, create your own table. This rebellion doesn't just change your life, it changes the world around you. When you step into your true power, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living example of what's possible when you break free from the chains of societal conditioning. You stop being a passive participant in life and become the creator of your own destiny. This is where the real change happens. It's not about fitting into a mold that wasn't made for you. It's about breaking that mold entirely and creating something new, something real. And in doing so, you unlock a power inside of you that you've never fully realized. But it's not going to be easy. The road ahead is uncertain, and it will require courage. But if you're ready to break free from the expectations that have been placed on you to step into the unknown, then you're ready for the next phase of the rebellion. The truth is, you were never meant to follow the rules. You were meant to break them. And once you do, you'll see the world in a way you've never seen before. The path will be yours to shape. And in that freedom, you'll discover a life of purpose, creativity, and fulfillment. So, are you ready to step into the wild unknown? Are you ready to break free from the chains of conformity and finally live the life you were always meant to live? The rebellion has already begun. The power is yours for the taking. You just have to choose to unleash it. Stay with me, Because in the next part, we'll dive into the ultimate truth. What happens when you embrace your true power, when you step fully into your greatness? The final realization is just around the corner, and when you understand it, everything will change. Stay tuned, because the journey is just beginning. The moment you've been waiting for is here. The ultimate truth. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is the revelation that once you fully embrace it will change everything. It will shatter every illusion you've ever held about who you are and what you're capable of. It will make everything you've ever believed about success, fear, and power suddenly make sense. And yet, it will also turn those beliefs on their head. The truth you've been searching for is not about acquiring new knowledge. It's not about discovering a hidden trick or following a secret formula. No, the ultimate truth is about remembering what you've always known deep within yourself. It's about realizing that you have been the creator of your own reality all along. The power to shape your world, to make the choices that align with your truest self, has always been in your hands. The key to unlocking this power is in the simple but profound understanding that you are the author of your own story. Every decision you've made up until this point has been the result of how you perceive the world and your place in it. Your past, your failures, your doubts, they do not define you. What defines you is your ability to choose, your ability to take action, and most importantly, your ability to step into your power. Take a moment to really feel this. You are not defined by your past. You are not the sum of your mistakes or your struggles. You are not your fear, your insecurities, or the voices that told you that you weren't good enough. You are the creator of your future, the master of your destiny. And once you realize this, truly realize it, everything changes. Now, this is where it gets exciting. The most profound part of this truth is that the world is not fixed. It's malleable, waiting to be shaped by your vision and your actions. The way you experience the world is a reflection of how you choose to see it. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds in human history, once said, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe." In other words, your perception of the world determines the way you interact with it. If you choose to see the world as a place filled with endless possibilities, where you are free to create and explore, then that's exactly what you will find. If, on the other hand, you see the world as a hostile place, where obstacles are everywhere, and you are a victim of circumstance, then that will be your reality. It's that simple. The universe, in its most fundamental form, is neutral. It's what you choose to believe about it that defines how you experience it. Now let's dive deeper into this realization. This isn't just about changing how you see the world. It's about changing how you see yourself. For far too long, you've been living in a world where your self-worth was determined by the opinions of others, by the approval of society, by the external markers of success. You've been living a life defined by someone else's expectations, and that life, no matter how successful it may seem, is not truly yours. But now, you're awakening to a deeper truth. You are not here to follow someone else's script. You are here to write your own story, to create your own path. And once you understand this, the floodgates of possibility open wide. The chains that have held you back, the fear, the doubt, the conditioning, start to dissolve. You realize that your potential is limitless, that the only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. This is the ultimate truth. You are the creator of your own reality. You are not bound by the past, nor by the rules that others have set for you. You have the power to choose, to decide who you want to be, to design the life you've always dreamed of. And when you embrace this truth, you begin to live in alignment with your true self, your authentic desires, and your highest potential. You may be wondering, but how do I tap into this power? How do I start creating my own path when everything I've known has been leading me in a different direction? And that's where the real magic begins. The first step is to let go of the need for certainty. Society has taught us that we must have a plan, that we must know exactly what's going to happen next. But the truth is, no one has all the answers. Life is unpredictable, and that's where the adventure lies. The path to greatness is not a straight line. It's a series of twists, turns, and detours. It's filled with uncertainty, yes, but it's in that uncertainty that we find our greatest growth. It's in the moments when we step into the unknown, when we take risks, when we embrace the chaos, that we discover who we really are. And the more you allow yourself to embrace this unpredictability, the more you will begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You will begin to realize that the challenges you face are not roadblocks, but stepping stones, each one bringing you closer to your true potential. Carl Jung's concept of individuation is key here. He believed that true freedom comes when we stop conforming to society's expectations and start embracing our authentic selves, our light and our shadow. The shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide and suppress, are not to be feared. They are the very source of our power. Once you accept all parts of yourself, the good and the bad, the light and the dark, you begin to unlock a force within you that is unstoppable. This is the rebellion you've been waiting for. It's the rebellion against the system that tells you to stay small, to fit in, to follow the rules. It's the rebellion against the fear that has kept you from stepping into your power. It's the rebellion that says, I will no longer let the world define who I am. I will define myself. But there's one more piece to this truth. This final realization is the key that unlocks the door to everything you've been searching for. You are not alone. You are not the only one who has ever felt this way, who has ever wondered if there's more to life than what you've been told. Every great leader, every visionary, every person who has ever changed the world has felt the same fear, the same doubt. They have faced the same challenges you are facing right now. And what made them great was not that they were fearless, but that they took action despite their fear. They chose to break free from the chains of society and embrace their true power. The ultimate truth is this: you have the same power within you. It's not a matter of luck or chance. It's a matter of choice. And once you make the choice to step into your full potential, to embrace your authentic self, to follow your instincts and your desires, you will begin to see the world differently. You will begin to create a life that is uniquely yours, a life that is filled with purpose, passion, and possibility. So, what will you do with this power? What will you do with this truth? The world is waiting for you to step into your greatness. Don't wait too long, because the time to act is now. You have the power to shape your reality, to create the life you've always dreamed of. The universe is ready for you to claim your place in it. The choice is yours. Will you take it? Stay with me. This is just the beginning of your journey. The path ahead is yours to create. Together, we'll unlock the hidden potential within you and watch as your life transforms. It all starts now.